So let's say that we're gonna be doing this shoulder on her. So you always have to kind of feel where it is. So go ahead and turn the lights off. I know it's harder to see, but.
It's okay.
So you're gonna feel this. The first thing that I do is I know that her shoulder is closer to the side. It's not in the center. So I'm gonna have her step over to your right, a little bit more, right there. So I'm gonna feel where I think the center of it is, and I'm gonna go down. Okay, then I'm gonna move this automatically. So I'm gonna say I need you to walk up to the board. Then I'm gonna feel where's the positioning landmarks that we feel.
The
Superior,
Yeah.
angle, and then you're gonna feel the coracoid. And how do we find the coracoid again?
About 1 or 2 inches below the, what is that, AC joint, or shoulder?
So you find the AC joint, you can
Yeah.
go down and in a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So this is my inner, or imaginary line that I have to line up just to get this lateral. So I'm gonna move her, and I'm gonna tell her to move her feet with her body. So that looks pretty lateral to me right there. So then I'm gonna find her actual scapula again. I'm gonna have her walk to her right. Good. So now I'm gonna come up just a tad because I'm clipping the top of that. And then I'm gonna move this up, because you touch one, you touch the other, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm gonna move her a little bit more this way. I'm gonna bring her arm back a little bit. I'm gonna tell her to walk forward towards the board a little bit more. What you do not want is them leaning towards the board, okay? So this is gonna come with practice. You have just got to feel the patients over and over before you get a good feel of how it's supposed to be, okay? I've just done it so much, I can just kind of tell what it's gonna look like. I'm gonna bring this down just a tad. So her arm, just relax your arm by your side, just like that. Kind of move it that way a little bit. And I'll always have a shield around her, just a wraparound skirt like that. And to me, that feels pretty nice and lateral. And we were all lined up. I put my marker right here. You can always collimate in a little bit because all we're looking at is that wide view, okay? You still need a little bit of the humerus though, which we have there. We have the top of it. So I put my marker there. Always make sure that they're not moving. This is a hard one for them to kind of move back and forth on as well. It's okay. And that's how I would do my wide view. Okay? Now for the outlet method that we just learned, you literally have the same one, but you're going to put what degree angle on here? Y'all remember?
Wide view?
Was it
10 to 15.
10 to 15, yeah.
So all you do, I put 10 to 15 degree angle, and now I'm just going to move it up, and you're gonna position the same place. But remember to move this. I move this, I move this. So that's gonna be the outlet, the near method.
Okay.
It's the only difference, okay? And the reason for that is it's throwing the humerus, the humeral head down, so you can see more of the scapula region, okay? All right, so turn and put your back up against the board. So that was the wide view. So step that way just a little bit. I'm gonna bring this back down.
You're fine now.
Always remember never to turn the light on if it's facing their head. You don't want it to go in their eyes, okay? So,
I was getting ready to.
40, 12. Okay, for a scapula, moving this behind you, an AP scapula. So, we're gonna make sure that we find mid-scapula is kind of where we wanna go. So you can kind of go inward, you know, central ray, stuff like that. You can find where it's gonna be. You know the top of the scapula has the acromion up here, and you know the inferior border down here, so you can always find that too. And then you want to go in the center of the two. For this, we don't need clavicle and all that. We need the top of the scapula. So it's okay if you clip a little bit up there. So I'm gonna have her move that way just a little bit right there. And then, actually that's gonna be too much. Put this arm up and over your head like we're supposed to. You can just top of your forehead and turn your arm. Good. Now walk towards me just a tad. Good, right there. So remember your scapula goes close to your vertebral column, but it doesn't touch it. So even there, I could probably collimate in a little bit because look, this is just her clothes. We can see everything right there. There, she's got a little bit of light above there, which I always go by. We are still pretty much mid-scapula because you can feel the inferior angle, and we know that we're at the top. Now I've got to move this because I moved one. So I would either put my marker there because you have room, and that's pretty much it. So that's the AP scapula, okay? The wide view is kind of like, you can bring your arm down, it's kind of like this, the lateral scapula. Just remember that your arm is in front of the body if you're looking for the body, or it's behind your body if you're looking for the acromion and the coracoid. Okay? So it's just, that's the only difference with it. You really have to just start feeling everybody's scapula to see the feel of if it's lateral or not. So for, let's say that we've switched out this cassette and it's crosswise now, okay? So let me get it crosswise. So for a clavicle, so we're doing this clavicle on her. You know where your clavicle is. It's gonna, in the center right there, and then at the edge here. So I'm gonna move her just a little bit this way, just a little bit. I don't need to collimate that much, but I need to collimate up and down for sure. Find the clavicle. That is the center of her clavicle. So I've got that. My marker would go there. Obviously I'm moving this up, I move one, move the other. So my marker would go right there, and that would be a right clavicle. For the axial clavicle, what's the degree of angulation?
For that one, would you have her move her head up, like her chin up?
Not up, but I would probably have her look to the side.
Okay.
Actually, it's not 25, 35,
15 to 30.
15, 30.
So we're gonna just do a little
Yeah,
bit of
one
angle to
right.
make sure.
Or actually, I didn't get any on that.
So once you angle it, just make sure, just kind of go find the clavicle again, put it to the center of her clavicle, move the bucky because you moved one. Now, do you see how the light looks a little bit longer and I haven't changed my collimation? It's because you have an angle on it. You want to make sure that you don't collimate too much because you're throwing that body part up and you don't want to collimate it out. So usually after I do the AP, I keep the same collimation. So I would leave it like that. I put my marker right here to the side because you don't want to put it in the anatomy. Remember, you're throwing it up now. So I would put my marker to the side, and I'd probably have her look to the side. She'd have an apron on. And then always for anything of the shoulder or anything up here, you're holding your breath. No breathing instructions, but you have to tell them to hold their breath.
Okay.
So that's for the axial. If we were doing, so we put a 14 by 17, 14 by 17 in there. Now I'm gonna bring her to the center because we're looking at both. And you know where the center is because you can find jugular
Jugular
notch.
notch.
Come down behind you. Actually, let me move to the side just a little bit. Thank you. There. So to the center, and we'd have a 14 by 17 in here, which I'm not, I don't have my SID to that. So we're using 72 inches. Oops, sorry. Sorry. Alright, so obviously I'm going to collimate, not that way, I'm going to collimate this way, because all we're looking at is the SC joints, right?
Yep.
So SC joints are going to be found where?
Sternocleidomastoid,
the-
you're right on the clavicle.
Sternocleidomastoid.
Sternocleidomastoid there.
Good. So move this up behind her. Remember, we do both of these on one. So it's going to be here and here, going to be the SC joints. I'll put my right marker and my left marker. And the first one we do is without weight. So I always just tell them, have your arms hang by your side, and then you just hold still, hold your breath. The next one you'll get weights, and I'll let y'all practice with that in a little bit. But remember, it just kind of goes over the wrist. You have, a lot of times they want to kind of like tense up because it's weights. Just tell them to relax their shoulders down. From that, you might have to change your image receptor, or you might have to change your CR because a lot of times it depresses them down so much that you have to bring your central ray down a little bit, just a little bit. So
we
that's
just-
how you do SC.
We just line it up with the
Middle, always the middle.
jugular
Because
notch.
usually if you put like her jugular notches here and then you put the weights on her, it's going to drop to about there
Gotcha.
because it's depressing the shoulders.
Okay.
So it's always the same central ray, you just might have to move it.
Okay.
So there's that one, that one, that one. I'm trying to think. Okay, so turn and face me this way. So for this one, let's say that we are doing just the proximal humerus, transthoracic proximal humerus. Her arm is in a splint, we can't move it, and they think that it's like dislocated, okay? So we're gonna have a 10 by 12 lengthwise in there. We're gonna do it at 40 inches SID. Let's go 40, 10 by 12 lengthwise. Okay. So first they've got to stand nice and straight, okay? So stand up with your feet underneath you. Good. And where is this central ray going to exit?
It exits at the surgical.
Surgical neck. This is kind of what I do. I have them have their both arms down and they're standing up nice and tall, and I'll say slide that way a little bit more so you're not leaning. Nope. Move your feet. Nope. Just like that. So I find the surgical neck on this arm. So it's about right there. So I'm pretty close to it. I make her walk forward to me a little bit because all we care about is the humerus. So now that we have the surgical neck there, it's pretty sure it's going to be there, okay? So now I'll say raise this arm up and over your head. And make sure that their head's kind of looking nice and straight. You can collimate in a little bit because remember what you see here is not always what's there. It's going to be smaller here. But you can see that we have light here, and then if you move her in the back a little bit, you can tell where the light is. So we have light there. And light here, we're definitely getting her humerus, okay? So just have her arm there. I put my marker right there. I'd move this a little bit. I put my marker right there and just tell her to hold still. And that's how you do it. You can always double check your central ray and just go across the body. and say, yep, it's exiting the surgical neck. Okay? If we were doing the whole humerus, it'd be a 14 by 17 lengthwise, and our central ray would be where?
Mid humerus.
So then you would have this opened up 14, 40 by 17. And so you would make sure your light was there and make sure you had light there. That looks pretty good.
How do you see the light at the bottom?
Well, I just know.
Oh,
Because
okay. I'm like,
this is 17 lengthwise.
right.
So if she moves to the back, move backwards, you see how the light's there?
Oh, yeah.
You'll get to know where the light is. At the end of the day, you can look at your image receptor in here. So come forward a little bit.
Mm.
Her shoulder is there, her elbow is there, and I can know where it
it's
is.
in. Okay.
Yep. So you can always have the patient move back and forth. You just want to get away from that. So yeah, you can turn down. So 14 by 17, this is only, it only has a little bit at the top and a little bit at the bottom where you don't have light for a 14 by 17 lengthwise. So pretty much this whole thing is 17 lengthwise and 17 crosswise. So you can always know that way. Always you can look at your cassette too.
Okay.
Okay. So what time is? Oh, it's 5 till. Okay. We will finish up with that.